Elected Democratic officials dialed the delusion up to 11 in their shameless defense of the anti-ICE riots that have rocked Los Angeles for the better part of a week, either outright lying or remaining blissfully unaware that stores were looted, cars were incinerated in the streets, and cops had to duck bricks, chunks of concrete, and Molotov cocktails lobbed by protesters. Representative Maxine Waters, D-Calif, on Tuesday, made the blatantly false assertion that there was no violence happening in Los Angeles during the fiery unrest. The left-wing 18-term congresswoman told the enormous whopper during a Capitol Hill press conference as she hit out at the Trump administration for deploying thousands of National Guard members and hundreds of active-duty Marines to try to quell the destructive chaos that has engulfed the city for 4 days and nights. Back on planet Earth, the incidents of violence in the City of Angels were stacking up with each passing day. Harrowing footage Sunday captured the moment California cops shot a post photographer in the head with a rubber bullet as he covered one of the violent protests. An Australian TV reporter was struck by a rubber bullet, and a New York Times reporter was also hit during the rioting. Compton and Paramount were ground zero for some of the worst of the weekend violence following a series of raids by immigration and customs enforcement to root out lawbreakers. Rioters in Paramount hurled rocks and Molotov cocktails as riot cops fired back with less lethal countermeasures, including rubber bullets, smoke bombs, and pepper spray. On Sunday, at least 2,000 protesters took over LA's 101 freeway, bringing traffic to a standstill as California Highway Patrol riot cops corralled the mob onto an exit ramp. The roadway was briefly reopened later that night, but shut down again after rioters started throwing objects, including scooters and other projectiles, onto police cars traveling in the southbound lanes, the LAPD said. Cops have arrested nearly 60 people since Friday, with the Department of Justice promising to find and punish anyone who committed crimes against federal officers. Waters' fibbing echoes other Democrats as well as left-leaning media outlets' repeated assertions that the protests were peaceful, despite at least 5 law enforcement officers being injured in the mayhem. This is anarchy and true chaos. My party loses the moral high ground when we refuse to condemn setting cars on fire, destroying buildings, and assaulting law enforcement. Mainstream outlets like CNN, which infamously labeled the nationwide 2020 riots fiery but mostly peaceful, gave an encore performance of their misleading characterizations for the LA riots, labeling them lawful protests featuring some unrest.